Let's talk about Elon and all the crazy stuff that he's doing. Because I'm currently invested in Tesla, and as an investor, you know I just love when the CEO of my company says that he thinks the stock is overvalued. So much fun just seeing your money plummet off a tweet. So we're going to talk about Tesla and Elon's craziness, but also the more important part is how we as investors deal with that. Because you can still guard yourself from it, from whatever he's tweeting out, and still profit. And don't worry, I still love Elon, but I mean, you know, when my money's in your stock, maybe just don't tweet certain things. You could tweet everything else, but just a few keywords you just want to avoid. And before we get into it, you know I got to tell you about the Explosive Stocks Checklist. If you're picking stocks in this market, then you should definitely check it out. It is free. There's a link down below in the description and comments. It'll help you find those good stocks faster and more effectively. Also, I hope you guys like my new hat. After my hair reveal in the last video, I told you I was probably going to go with the hat. And I almost bought a blue one, but you know, black just felt like the way to go. It's like they say, once you go black, you don't go back. I gotta say though, a backwards hat makes me feel like a high school teacher, a cool high school teacher. You know, the one that wears their hats backwards and they sit in chairs backwards so that they could rap with the students better. We're not just here to learn, dude. We're here to have fun. I'm not just your teacher, I'm your friend. No, bro, don't call me Mr. Jankowski, call me Jake. The funny thing about those oh so cool high school teachers is that it's always the case that a few years later, maybe you're in college or you just started working, you stumble upon a random news article that says that your cool high school teacher was actually a raging alcoholic and got a little too cool with all the underage girls in your class. Anyway, that's what hats make me think of. What do they make you think of? Comment down below. But on to Elon and his crazy tweets. I actually missed this tweet storm because I told you guys I'm pretty much off Twitter, but I had to sign back on just to see this. Elon just started going, just ranting in a series of tweets telling the government to give people their freedom back. He was on his Mel Gibson high horse. Tweet after tweet, free America now. Forced isolation is bad. Don't put everyone under de facto house arrest. Give people back their freedom. Then he started tweeting out the Star Spangled Banner. And you know, getting out from under lockdown, it might make sense, but it's also a very controversial opinion. So should Elon be going so hard in his tweets as the CEO? Maybe, maybe not. People were speculating that the reason he wants the lockdown to end is so that people can go back and buy more Teslas. Because if the economy is shut down, then who's gonna buy his expensive cars? Who's gonna fund all his grand ambitions? But I don't know why people always tie Elon to money, like he's trying to get more and more rich. He already has billions and he's been very clear about what he wants to do. Here's another tweet, rage against the dying light of consciousness. He's playing on a different level. He doesn't care about money. I remember back like in 2013, I first heard an interview with Elon describing why he does what he does. And it's all about exactly what he said in that tweet, the light of consciousness. He basically believes that humans and our ability to think and think about all these things in the universe, it's something really special and it's something you don't find anywhere else. And if that's the case, if it is really this special thing, then he has to do everything in his power to protect it, which means getting us to Mars so we can be interplanetary in case something happens to Earth, which it's already happening, you know, global warming. Also means getting us off fossil fuels, you know, with the whole Tesla, solar panels, all that. That's why he's doing that. And it might also mean bringing us to a higher level of consciousness, which is all his work with that, you know, cap thing, like this hat, but with the Neuralink, basically connecting humans and computers. So again, his goal isn't money, it's to preserve the light of consciousness so he can keep asking big questions and trying to figure out the universe. I remember after watching that interview, I was sold on Elon Musk, which is why it confuses me when everyone thinks he does stuff for money. But then he also started getting weird, saying he's gonna sell all his physical possessions. He's not gonna own a house. He said, my girlfriend Grimes is mad at me. And actually, I did see an article that his 2 properties in LA were put up for sale. But his one stipulation is that he owns Gene Wilder's old house. It cannot be torn down or lose any of its soul. Historical monument, I guess. Now, in the middle of all this, Elon randomly tweeted the Tesla stock price is too high in his opinion. And that's when we saw Tesla stock drop 10%. And then we're all sitting there wondering, like, Elon, didn't you just get out of trouble with the SEC? Are you trying to get back in their sights? Do you want to just bend over and let them do what they want to you? Because that seems to be what you're asking for when you tweet stuff like this. But then, the smart people of Reddit came up with a different theory. It turns out with Tesla flying as high as it was, Elon was coming pretty close to a huge payout. So Elon, as the CEO of Tesla, he doesn't get paid a salary, nor does he get a bonus. All his compensation are based off stock options that only vest when certain criteria are met. So for him to unlock the very first tranche of that payment, he needed Tesla to reach 100 billion in value and then hold that value for a 1 month and 6 month average. So Tesla already did the first two, the 100 billion value and the 1 month average, but just recently unfortunately, they were shy of that 6-month average figure. They were at 96 billion. So if Tesla hit all those stipulations, then Elon would be eligible to purchase almost 1.7 million shares of the company at $350, which with the stock price at almost $780 right now, that's an immediate profit of over $720 million. So some people were thinking that Elon was so close to this target, so close to the money, that he started tweeting this stuff to open up the economy, because again, if the economy isn't open, then who's buying cars? And eventually the upper class people who even have the money to buy Teslas, they were going to be hit too if the economy continues to be shut down. So when Elon was tweeting all this free the economy stuff, people were like, oh, he's doing it to pay himself, which might be why he made this tweet right here. Tesla stock price is too high in my opinion, just to prove to people, no guys, I'm not trying to pay myself. You know, I think Tesla's price is too high. So maybe he thought the SEC would get mad at him for the free the economy thing. So he did another market manipulation tweet to cancel out the first one. It's that third order of thinking that Elon has. I really don't know, because in the middle of all this, he was about to have a baby, which he just did. It's like his 6th kid. So maybe it was just stress, because they decided to name the kid XAI-A12. Yes, that's the name of their child. It's better than Apple, I guess. So according to Grimes, the mother, who's very, very unique, X is the unknown variable, AE is the elven spelling of AI, which is love and or artificial intelligence. Then A12 is the precursor to the SR-17, our favorite aircraft. No weapons, no defenses, just speed. Great in battle, but non-violent. XAI-A12 is just a beautiful sounding name, just rolls off the tongue. Elon tweeted a picture of the kid when he was born. You can see he just came out tatted already. He knows what he's here for. He knows he's gonna do some weird stuff. Can you imagine being a little baby and being memed by your own dad on the first day you're born? I swear Elon just named this kid for the memes, because they already started piling in. This is XAI-A12 sitting at the lunch table at school, just glowing like the little alien baby that he is. When XAI-A12 starts crying, Grimes and Elon gonna put him in rice overnight. Cell phone electronics joke, do you get it? Of course you do. Grimes blogging about XAI-A12. I love my baby, but I wish he would stop saying this human form is limiting. You can't see this little baby's eyes because they're closed here, but you know as soon as he opens them, they're gonna look like this, like 2 black holes. Which is fine with Elon because, you know, he's a space guy. Nothing wrong with black holes. So could it have been just some fatherly stress? Yes, probably. And I also think Elon is genuine in his frustration of our whole society getting locked down by a virus. When he's trying to get to Mars, he's like, how can this little thing stop us? We need to be thinking bigger, figure these things out. Mark Andreessen, the famous venture capitalist, he released an article saying that we need to start building stuff. Once again, the same sentiment. Why are we getting stopped by something like this? Why haven't we figured all this stuff out? Why aren't we way far ahead of where we are right now? We should be doing better. Again, should Elon be tweeting out his frustrations like that? Probably not, but that's what makes him Elon. That's what makes everyone love him. And that's why I love watching Tesla stock, because it is such a good indicator of retail sentiment. It shows you the risk appetite of your average investor. So I was telling you guys in these last few videos how there are so many new investors flooding into the market right now, because I think the Buffettism has stuck in everyone's head, like buy when other people are fearful because stocks are really cheap right now. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it might be a little too simplistic because we are in a terrible, terrible time right now. I think it was Dr. Tetraman Flakes, a frequent commenter on our videos. He just said that we're in the eye of the hurricane. The storm is not over yet, and I kind of think the same thing because I would assume that a second wave is coming. But everyone's trying to buy stocks. Robinhood just got another round of funding from, I think, Sequoia, and they released some numbers. They said that they had 3 million in newly funded accounts. And of that 3 million, half, or 1.5 million, are brand new investors, first-time investors. So again, there's a lot of new money flowing into this market, and of course, where does everyone want to invest? In Tesla. I feel the same way. I love to invest in Tesla. So looking at Tesla's stock price kind of gives you an idea of what retail is thinking. But it's risky, right? I mean, all stocks are risky. Anytime you're getting in the market, it is a risk. But especially with Tesla, you know, with Elon, with how crazy he is, it's great, but it also has an effect on the stock price because he's liable to do anything. So the way to guard against that and to make sure that you still have a profit, regardless of what he's saying, is to have proper trade management. You need a good strategy. So you guys know the NASDAQ All-Stars that I talk about all the time? Well, we've been in and out of Tesla this whole time. But because we had trading rules in place, we've done pretty well. See, we got into Tesla all the way back in November. The system told us to enter, we entered. Then along the way, as the stock kept moving higher, we were taking profits. So when Tesla was up 20% from our first entry, we took profits, so we sold some of our shares. We actually sold 25%. So say if we had 100 shares, we would have sold 25 shares right here on this date, December 16th. And that's the benefit of having a profit target. So when we get into investment, we have 3 profit targets, and every time we hit one, we end up selling 25% of our shares. So our first target was at a 20% gain, second was 35, third was 65. And every target we kept selling off shares, locking in profits. Because guess what? If you don't sell your shares, then you don't actually have that money in hand. The market could just take it away again. Then Tesla basically went on a wild run, which is why we only have 3 targets, right? We don't want to take off our whole position because the thing can keep running. And sure enough, it did. It kept running higher and higher and higher. And then right here around the top is when Elon said he's going to issue more shares. And from there, Tesla pretty much crashed. And that final 25 shares that we held on to, we actually didn't exit it until it came all the way down back here, back to that 35% gain. So we didn't lose on that last tranche, but you know, we lost a lot from the high to down here. And is that the most optimal scenario to give this much back? No, it's not. But at the same time, this is the whole reason why we sold on the way up. So we locked in a bunch of our profits and made really good money by selling a bunch of our shares on the way up. Now, realistically, what we're seeing right here, this does not happen often. Normally on this last tranche, we end up exiting a different way because our system also rotates into the strongest stocks. So normally we would eventually rotate out of Tesla when it would just go sideways. But in this case, it ran up so much higher than 65%, which also doesn't happen often, and then crashed. So again, it's not a common thing to see this. And you can say, oh man, we sold out right before the bottom, which we did, but our system put us right back into Tesla again. So we caught the ride up. And again, you see the same thing happening. New entry right here, April 1st. Hit our first target a few days later, sold 25%. Hit the second target the next day, sold another 25%. And then the third target was hit right after earnings, where we sold another tranche. And then, of course, Elon tweeted how he thought the stock price was too high and it plummeted. Because we sold on the way up, once again, we were okay. Now we have a small position in Tesla and we're just holding on to it. So regardless of what Elon says or does, we're going to be okay because we know how to manage our own positions. So the number one question that I've been getting lately is, when do I sell this stock that has made so much money? Because, you know, this recent run in the market has been pretty good. A lot of people who have been new investors, or, you know, anybody investing has made great money because all these stocks have shot up. So then the question is like, oh, I don't know when to sell. Do I keep holding? Do I keep waiting for more gains? Things still kind of look shaky in the market. Well, this is your answer. One way you can do it is sell on the way up. So set targets for your stocks. So again, in our all-star system, our targets are 20%, 35, and then 65. And actually when we sold, like the second target ended up being 40% because it jumped. And the third ended up being around 70% because it also jumped. But either way, we're locking in those gains. And I'm telling you, you'll feel a lot less antsy and a lot less nervous when you made all this money in a stock, when you're actually taking some of that money out and putting it in your pocket. Because that's where it's safe. Because what's the saying? Like a bird in your pocket is worth 2 in the bush. It's the same concept here. That trade management is going to make you successful long term. But then again, you know, what do I know? I'm just AK fallible. Like Marty McSuperfly said, you clearly don't know your ass from your elbow. Just be patient. You'll love your new room in the gulag. 5G for everybody. These are the comments that I get. Why? Why did he give a little shout out to 5G at the end? I don't know. Does the G in 5G stand for gulag in his head? Not sure. Maybe it's a signal for us to invest in gulags in the future, because after all, this guy is Marty McSuperfly. He's been to the future and back. He knows things we could only imagine. 5G for everybody. Or, you know, because we're talking about Tesla, we cannot forget about the Tesla short sellers. And according to the Dubinator, all shorts possess a criminal mentality. Therefore, to me, they are a criminal. See, you just gotta love when you see the birth of new crime fighters on your YouTube channel. The Canadian Rock over here has had enough. I think Elon is in good hands now that we have the Dubinator. In Dubs we trust. Go get those short sellers and teach them a lesson. And if you guys want lessons on how to pick the best stocks, at least in my opinion, which I don't know how much that is worth because I'm still trying to figure out which is my ass and which is my elbow, but you might learn something and it's free anyway, so check it out. There's a link down below in the description and comments that you could click and download for free. And make sure you subscribe to this channel because we're going to be going over a lot more stuff. You don't want to miss it. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Stay fallible out there. Bye.